Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is my YouTube channel Sherelle Thinks, where I talk about all things health anxiety related. I am going to tell you a bit of a story in this video today of when I had songs stuck in my head for 2 months solid. And this is something that I actually don't really like to speak about. I never mention it to friends or family. I don't bring it up in conversation, purely because it's something that really triggers me. It's something that I find very traumatic when I look back on this experience. And so I've shut the door on it, and I don't like to go there. But I'm gonna today in this video, just because you never know, there might be somebody out there that is dealing with, the same thing. So basically I went through this real bad patch of my health anxiety. I won't go into the story of that because a lot of you probably have already know of this story, but I was very unwell, and I was back and forth the hospital. They wanted to section me, but I was pregnant and it was just all a mess. And I remember the day very clearly. So I had a song stuck in my head, and it was a nursery rhyme off one of the YouTube videos that my daughter was watching, and it was a song called "Where Is Jake," and it would just say the same thing over and over again: "Where is Jake? Where is Jake?" And I realised that it was stuck in my head, and that happens sometimes. You get a song stuck in your head all the time. But then I woke up the next morning and it was still stuck in my head, and I was like, oh gosh, this is really getting annoying. And I was in a real bad mental state as well, so I really didn't need just a random song playing in my head. And then a couple of days went by and it was still there. And I remember the one night I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was blaring in my head, and I remember thinking this isn't right. This has been about 4 or 5 days now, and I still have this song stuck in my head. What's going on? And I made the mistake, this was going back 2 years ago. I made the mistake of Googling and got myself all wound up, reading stories about, people who have had this happen to them, and they've ended up going crazy, and all of this awfully dreadful stuff to read. And yeah, it just got worse and worse. So it moved on then. It would move on from that song. And what would happen was somebody would say a word, and my brain would then find a song to match that word, and then it would start playing that song. So for example, if somebody said the words happy, then maybe I would hear Pharrell happy. Or if somebody said single, I might hear single ladies. So it was just kind of my brain was turning everything into a song. And I found it very hard to concentrate. I found it hard to have conversations with people because I had this music blaring in my head all day long. And it got to the point where it began to really terrify me, and it was making me feel as though I was completely losing control. It was literally the most horrific experience I've ever been through, and it went on for 2 months. And I remember this one time I got taken in by the crisis team to be assessed to see if I needed to be sectioned for the 4th time or whatever it was. And I literally broke down, and I said to the psychiatrist, I can't get these songs out of my head. And she said, I think you're having musical hallucinations. But I wasn't. So I was hearing it, I want to clarify, I was hearing it inside my head. I wasn't hearing it from an outside source. It was all inside my head. And so I spoke with a psychiatrist, and she kind of said to me, I think what your brain is doing is that where you've been so incredibly anxious for such a long time, your brain is now almost trying to switch off from that. And it's doing that by blaring music in your head all day long, so that you're kind of it's like having brain fog. When you have brain fog and everything feels funky, I feel that's your brain kind of trying to say to you, hey, we're taking a break from reality right now. And I feel that's what my brain was doing in regards to the music. And it was awful. And I remember just Googling. And of course, the more I Googled, the worse it was. And it was constant. It was all day long. Even, it just didn't stop. And I tried all these weird things. So like there was people saying online, like try chewing gum, like that will help, or try doing this, and or try and like sing the song that you're hearing like really loud and like go through it all, and then that'll break it. But none of it worked. Like not one single thing helped. And because I was so fearful of it, because I was so scared that it was, you know, a sign that I was going crazy, it wasn't going. And eventually, like, I got so depressed, and I got so suicidal. I was just like, I was like, excuse my language, fuck it, I don't care, whatever. And as soon as I kind of did that and I surrendered to it and I wasn't scared of it anymore, I remember it was like this one day, and like 2 days had gone by, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard any music. Like, it's not bothering me anymore. And then I found even if I did have a song in my head, I wouldn't allow myself to even freak out about it. I wouldn't allow myself to even think about it. I would just go do something else. I would like engage in conversation. And I found that just, it just cured it. It just got rid of it. And I think the reason why I don't like to speak about it is because I sometimes worry that if I think about it, it's going to happen again. But I think that I'd be able to handle it if that did happen, because I was just in such a fragile state that's why it was so bad. But honestly, hand on heart, it was one of the worst experiences of my life. Like I'll never forget it. It was completely tormenting. It was tormenting. I remember the one day I literally wanted to bang my head on the wall. Like, and I actually, I read a story about a man who had it and he resorted to banging his head. And I just remember thinking, that's going to be me. I'm going to end up just banging my head because I just wanted to just shake my skull. It was awful. And I'm wondering if there's any of you guys that have experienced this. It's a very strange symptom. It's not really often talked about. I mean, people get songs stuck in their head all the time, but generally, I think within a 24-hour period, it usually goes. But yeah, if you've had this experience, please let me know. I'm super interested. It's not really. I remember going to my GP, and my GP sort of just looked at me because he just didn't know what to say. He couldn't help me. His only suggestion was to see a psychiatrist, and even the psychiatrist was like, at this point we just need to reduce your anxiety because that's kind of what's causing all of this like crazy stuff that you're experiencing. Because at the same time I was also having smell hallucinations as well, which was like bizarre because I was like smelling things that weren't there. But yeah, if you found this video helpful, comforting, whatever, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, you can do so through my Patreon, and the link to that is in the description of this video, along with the links to all of my socials as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.